Briefcases are great. You can keep lots of things in a briefcase. Files, lunch, the affection you withhold from your son, which inevitably leads him to try and fail to become an entertainer in his adult years. Did I already say lunch? And also a contract for a world title match at the time of your choosing. Money in the Bank remains the most significant addition to WWE in the last 15 years, with other wrestling companies getting in on the whole briefcase equals opportunity visual storytelling. And like anything that's been around for 15 years, it's had some real highs and lows. Edge's first ever cash-in set a fairly high standard. It's been used to execute multiple great heel turns, and no matter what you say, I cannot dunk on Brock using it as a boom Brox and shucking and jiving like Friedrich von Trapp grew up and became Vanilla Ice. To celebrate the upcoming pay-per-view, we've decided to try a slightly different kind of list, looking at both the best and the worst cash-ins. Let us know if you like it or prefer a straight 10. These are the 5 best and 5 worst Money in the Bank cash-ins. And while you're here, did you know you can cash in your subscribe in a bank briefcase? If you click subscribe to the video, you've cashed it in. And well done. No, well done. Best number 5, Bayley. Bayley is the fucking best. As a heel with the most wonderfully obnoxious catchphrase ever, or as a babyface genuinely bringing grown-ass humans to tears with her courage and fortitude, WWE occasionally forgets about Bayley, but she always delivers, so it makes sense she'd have one of the most triumphant cash-ins of all time, and easily the best of the win it and cash it on the same night brigade. Sorry Kane, sorry Alexa, sorry Dean. Wrestling is at its best when the crowd all furiously chant for one thing, and that one thing happens. Case in point, Money in the Bank 2019. Bayley won the briefcase earlier in the show after WWE had forgotten about her for a bit. Then Charlotte beat Becky for the SmackDown belt with the help of her dad's favourite granddaughter, Lacey Evans. The crowd chanted for Bayley, and then out she came. Babyface of babyfaces, not biding her time, not lying in wait, riding in from the east to help a friend, and exact righteous vengeance on Charlotte, who could have taken her title and gone home, but had to be a goddamn flair about it. Absolutely brilliant, and a moment you should all rewatch now. Worst number 5, Asuka. No, look, it's sweet. It was a very nice moment of Asuka being super happy for Becky at a super nice time, but putting all of that empathy to one side, giving someone a title belt in wrestling is fucking bollocks. I don't care if you're New Day and Street Profits swapping tag belts like panini stickers, Jeff Jarrett giving Mark Henry the European title because he did him a favor, or Andre gifting the Winged Eagle to DiBiase. You don't buy a title like you would an Emmy. Win it, bastard. Which makes it all the more disappointing that Asuka, at the peak of her unpredictable dancer/murderer split personality phase, was just handed the title in a gift bag after leaving Becky's impromptu baby shower. Proof positive of 2 things. 1, that children are the worst, they take every good thing from us, and 2, Money in the Bank 2020 was fucking cursed, as Otis would turn his briefcase into a lunchbox, lose both it and his best friend to The Miz, who would then cash it in what's possibly the least effectual successful cash-in ever, losing the title to Bungle's Lollipop after only 8 days. Best number 4, Randy Orton. Oh WWE, how you play with our emotions. The Money in the Bank briefcase is one of WWE's favourite ways of giving the fans something and then yanking it away like a dollar on a string. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it is. Here's looking at you, Alberto Del Rio, interrupted a Summer of Punk for no good f***ing reason. But sometimes it's a heartbreaker in all the best ways. Cue Randall Keith Orton turning heel alongside Triple H at SummerSlam 2013 to form the Authority and crush Daniel Bryan's still confetti-plastered dreams into a smooth nutritional paste. It's one of the best emotional bait and switches that WWE's ever done. Proper eye-watering triumph to nauseous horror to unbridled rage, all being felt by the audience by design, which is something of a rarity these days, with the actual consequences of the cash-in lasting for years to come, indirectly giving us the main event of WrestleMania 30, the breakup of the Shield, Team Cena versus Team Authority, all pinging off each other in one big Authority angle that served to make 2014 WWE's best overall calendar year of the 2010s. Worst number 4, John Cena. Everything about Cena's Money in the Bank reign was bollocks, wasn't it? First of all, the handle broke when you won the thing, and I don't care if it was gimmick, that was weak. Second, of all the people in WWE history who does not need a bit of paper to get a title shot, it's John show up and book myself in the main event Cena. After winning the briefcase at Money in the Bank 2012, Cena booked his title match for the main event of Raw 1000, and you know what? That whole concept was good. Didn't need the briefcase to do it, of course, but Punk versus Cena is always a money match. But then, well, it's the big show. audible sigh. The first Money in the Bank cash-in to fail via DQ at that. See, up until that point, there had been something of an aura around cash-ins, even ones booked in advance, that the cash-in elevated the subsequent match into something guaranteed to be a blockbuster, sealed off where big and important things happen. For WWE to bottle it and give us a cheap DQ finish just further proved that strapping the case on Johnny C was a huge waste. Best number 3, RVD. Now let's talk about a cash-in that was booked in advance and done right. A cash-in so magical it brought ECW back from the dead. Actually, oh no, on second thoughts, I hate it. Ronald Van Donald won the briefcase at Mania 22, decorating it like Money in the Banksy, before announcing he was cashing it in for Cena's strap at One Night Stand 2006. RVD was the beloved underdog and throwback to a cherished time for ECW fans, and he was up against the face of sports entertainment on ECW's home turf. It's one of the most highly charged, rawly entertaining crowd work matches of all time, with the amount of hatred and bloodlust in the air akin to Christian open mic night at the Coliseum. Yes, there were shenanigans, Edge's interference, and Heyman counting the fall dented the triumph slightly. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement of your new brand when their big triumph is preceded by Joey Styles saying, we'll take it, but my god, that crowd. So much hate, so much love, the actual threat of actual danger if the booking had gone another way. Those Hammerstein Ballroom fans would have decapitated John Cena with a full bottle of piss. I believe that. It is the pinnacle of what proper emotional pro wrestling can be. Worst number 3, Braun Strowman. It still baffles me that Braun Strowman doesn't work for WWE anymore. From 2017 to 2018, he was genuinely the hottest property in the company, flipping ambulances, adored by the fans, was tipped to be a potential company figurehead, and now he's gone. It's even more heartbreaking when you consider the ginormous pop that he got at SummerSlam 2018, 2 months after winning the briefcase, when he showed up to announce he was cashing in post-match. From that point, so began a series of mistakes that permanently dimmed Strowman's shine. First, the SummerSlam cash-in never actually happened, as Lesnar beat him up, strike 1. Then he turned heel and suddenly needed backup from Ziggler and McIntyre against The Shield. The man who kicked out of 6 people pinning him at Elimination Chamber earlier that year suddenly needed Dolph as a running buddy, strike 2. Finally, the cash-in, in advance at Hell in a Cell, where Brock Lesnar arrived, killed both men, ending a Hell in a Cell match in a no contest. Lesnar killed Strowman again in Saudi Arabia, and not even beating Goldberg for the Universal title ever made Braun as big a deal or as popular as he had been that one night at SummerSlam where his music played and he strode down to the ring with a briefcase. What a goddamn shame. Best number 2, Dolph Ziggler. Sometimes one glorious day is enough. You might not spend the rest of your career as a main eventer. You might have your title taken from you as a result of a terribly timed concussion. You might spend the rest of your life screaming, "It should have been me." But you'll finally cashed in Money in the Bank after holding it for 267 days, and it's soaking up more battle damage than Reinhardt. Look at me making Overwatch references 5 years too late. Finger on the pulse, please subscribe. It's a joyous moment where WWE teased just enough that perennial bridesmaid Ziggler would fail one more time, locking him in a terrifying armbar before he clawed his way to freedom. Only one cash-in tops it. Probably know what it is. But first, worst number 2, Damien Sandow. Oh dear. Damien Sandow was really good, lads. Aaron Stevens is still very good in the NWA, to be clear, but the savior of the unwashed masses gimmick was my jam. Can't think why an arrogant, self-consciously, overtly articulate dick would appeal to me, and I refuse to examine it any further. Point is, Damien Sandow won the Money in the Bank briefcase in 2013, turned it into a leather briefcase, and I couldn't possibly love him anymore. But then, after feuding with Cody Rhodes over the summer, losing that feud, then not appearing on the next 2 pay-per-views, the night after Hell in a Cell, Sandow cashed in on John Cena, which is the epitome of tugging on Superman's cape. Despite bludgeon brothering Cena's arm, destroying his own briefcase in the grimmest foreshadowing imaginable, the 2 men had a really good match, because again, cash-in matches should always be a big deal, before injured Cena scooped Sandow up, planted him with the AA, and handed Sandow the first failed cash-in by actually being beaten in Money in the Bank history. Then Sandow immediately plummeted down the card, and it's a shame. Why are all these things such a shame? Best number 1, Seth Rollins. Yeah, of course it is. The heist of the century, one of the best parachute pull bits of booking in wrestling history. At Mania 31, Money in the Bank's 10th birthday as a concept no less, WWE pulled off 2 never-before-seen feats. It was the first time the briefcase was used to alter an already happening match, and it was the first time it had been cashed in at WrestleMania. See, sometimes a cash-in passes you by. You miss a random episode of Raw, and who'd skip an episode of Raw? That'd be madness, am I right? And you missed a cash-in. Not this year. The main event of WrestleMania, with every single wrestling fan in the world watching, something we never saw coming, but that fixed every single problem with the WrestleMania main event with a simple snap of the fingers that protected everyone. Even the guy who we thought didn't need protecting, and perfectly aligned with Rollins' character as the second coming of the ultimate opportunist. Like the road to the WrestleMania 30 main event the year before, it's a golden example of how WWE so often presents us with the unthinkable, so that when they relent at the last minute, it suddenly feels all the more euphoric, which is a pretty messed up relationship to have with your fan base the more you think about it. But here we go. And worst, number 1, Baron Corbin. Wop wop. Don't get into fights with doctors, I suppose. So the long-standing rumor is that backstage, Baron Corbin got into a heated argument with WWE's head of medical, who was giving the superstars a talk downplaying the effects of concussions and their effect on CTE, which the lone wolf, as a former NFL player, took reasonable exception to. Unfortunately, putting the doc on blast in front of the boys drew a ton of heat on Corbin, which, armed with him also calling a member of the troops a loser on Twitter, gave birth to this utter humiliation. Corbin won the briefcase at Money in the Bank 2017, then the SmackDown before SummerSlam, cashed it in on a beat-down Jinder Mahal, the worst cash-in of all time. I will never understand WWE's habit of disciplining people by severely compromising their character in public, but here we go. The world's most wasted briefcase, and I've made myself sad. And that's our list. What are your favorite and least favorite Money in the Bank cash-ins? Let us know below. Don't forget to like and share this video around, and subscribe to PartsFUNknown for more silly wrestling content. Jam that jam.